About 7 minutes for questions to make sure we stay on time. Anybody from the audience have any questions about any of these topics? All right, so let me ask well, you guys are making your way up. Let me ask the group. So we had lots of talks about cementless femurs and tibias, talks about unresurfacing the patella. What about the cementless patella? No one mentioned that or talked about that at all. Michael, panel, thoughts about if you're going to resurface the patella, you're doing a cemented-less knee? Are you going cementless on the patella as well?
Yeah, in 2023, I would do a cementless patella. So we did a number of them early on before we started not resurfacing the patella, and they did well. The issue, there's some nuances to that, and now that you mentioned that, we should probably put a talk on that for next year for sure, because there's some nuances to that particular. For such a small bone, it's very finicky. So most of the designs have highly porous pegs now, and you got to make sure that base plate sits all the way flush. Radiographically, even if it doesn't, we've seen really good results, I have to admit, in I think it was 50 to 75 that we did, and we radiographically reviewed them all. So they do well. And the modern poly, if you go back and look at the failure mechanisms in the 90s, we had it was a horrible design. They didn't know better back then, but there was like a metal disc that held the poly on, and that metal disc was like a knife that sliced through the poly. Horrible design in retrospect. But now we mold them into the highly porous metal, and it's a much more stable design. The poly's better. So I would have I'm interested what the other speakers think, but I would have no apprehension about using an uncemented
patella. David?
Yeah, so I resurface about 30% of my patellas now, and they're all uncemented patellas.
Okay.
We've got MRI data. Cemented patellas look terrible. Doesn't mean they fail, but if you look at them on MRI,
Yeah, I've seen Hollis's data about the
they look awful.
interfaces, right?